Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto, Willies, your host. Thank you so kind for being part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Of course, we have many of you in the house. Carl Cox, too many American citizens worship, love money above all else. Sad but true. Welcome aboard, Carl Cox from Georgia. We also have Michael Rudnin from Brooklyn, New York. We have Bridge MCP from Binghamton, New York. We've got let's see who else we've got here. May Wood from Long Beach, California. And we're still getting people in. Where are all my peeps? Where are all my peeps? Egberto, if you read out the double, pick the second one, please. Okay, I see. Whatever that case may be. Lee Grant from Montgomery County is also in. Let's see what else we got now. All right. Guys, when Donald Trump is running scared about a debate, he has all his sycophants out there talking about CNN is on the take and Dana Bash gave money here and and what's his name? Jake Tapper doesn't like Trump and now Biden, the guy who can't walk, the guy who is a deadbeat somehow now, he's a formidable candidate. He's a formidable debater. These guys, it's amazing how the right jerks around the people who follow them. Completely jerk around the people who follow them. One time they say something and they all jump on the bandwagon and they follow Trump. The next thing he says something that is completely opposite and they jump on the bandwagon and follow him. Welcome aboard, Eric Hayes from Atascocita, Kingwood, as well as Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain, as well as Tom C from Michigan. Thank you guys for being here. All right, so here's Eric. He says CNN could be on the hook for a big payout stemming from a defamation lawsuit over a report about a military veteran who sought to help people flee Afghanistan when the U.S. withdrew from the country in 2021 that aired on anchor Jake Tapper's show. The lawsuit alleges CNN wrecked Young's reputation and business with this report by correspondent Alex Marquardt. Tapper introduced the segment by telling of a black market with demands of exorbitant fees and no guarantee of safety or success. Internal communications produced in the case showed CNN employee called Young, the sole operator profiled in the TV online. I think I will recover. Okay. All right. Oh, I don't know what's going on. I thought I recovered in time. Okay, folks. Yeah, it seems like you have to. I think you're going to have to start a new YouTube. We got some sort of a crash again. I'm not sure what's going on here, but we had it 2 days in a row. It's something that we got to fix, something that we've got to fix. So let me go ahead and I got to fix it elsewhere. So I'm sorry about that. I think we're back on again. I think we're back up again, but I need to make a change somewhere because, again, this is not a good thing. So bear with me as I make a correction to our system right here, guys. We had a minor crash that I think we recovered sort of in time. Let's see. I think we're recovering the crash in time. Let me know if all of you guys are back in the fold. Let's go ahead and make sure everybody's back on. I think everybody's back on. I think we're back up. So let's go back and see what I've got to do here to get things running again. Bear with me. I got a few cleanup to do after that crash. So bear with me a second as I clean up after that crash. I need to clean up after the crash. I'm coming. We're going to continue with the show in a minute, folks. We're going to continue in the show in a minute. I've just got to clean a few things up here so that we can continue the way we should. One more step that I got to go through. Get shareable link. And bear with me one more time. I got to edit one other thing before I get live with the show again. When these things happen, it really puts a damper on the amount of work you got to do to make that correction. But hey, that's why you guys support me with the little bucks, right? All right, let's go ahead and get that going. I'm almost there, guys. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. Let's see. Get you down there. All right. Clean you up there. Get you there. Go back to the live broadcast. And it's just one of those things how this stuff works where we got to get it set up again. So I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I got that cleaned up. Copy that. Copy that there. And we're back on air. Okay, good. We're back on air. We're back on air. Sorry about that, guys. Every now and then you run into these kind of problems, but we're okay now. We're okay now. We are okay now. Maybe now I lost. Let me just let you know that I have lost the chat. I'm going to bring that chat back up, but we temporarily all those messages that I had before are now gone. So anything that you guys want me to that you put in there before, we have to put it in again. I'm sorry about that. All right. All right, we're back up. We're back up. But I have nothing in the chat. The chat is empty. So you got to put that stuff back into the chat. Anyway, we got a great show for you today. We got a great show for you today. Let's see. Eric K says, why would Jackson Lee and Hidalgo and Briones not speak on local matter? Killing 12-year-old girl by two punks, but will choose to speak on federal matters via political vote. What are they to say about the young lady got murdered? Okay. What do you want them to say? Oh, it's a bad thing that occurred. It's a terrible thing that occurred. What should they say? What do you want to hear out of them? It's ridiculous. All right. Bridge MCP says Trump won't go. His talk is nonsense. You ever try buying a new home and you turn on, you want to wash your hair or you wash your hands, you turn on the water and it goes drip, drip. The soap, you can't get it off your hand, so you keep it running for about 10 times longer. Trump lamented. The worst is your hair. The former president went on. I have this beautiful, luxuriant hair, and I put stuff on. I put it in the lather. I like lots of lather because I like to come out extremely dry because it seems to slightly thicker that way. And rather than you turn on. He's an idiot. Our former president is an idiot. And I don't use those words lightly on air. Our former president was an idiot. Sadly, that's who he is, an idiot. But anyhow, let me go ahead and let's see. Dr. Hub says Trump hates anything conventional environmental, including water conservation. But I don't know when he talks about that drip drip. I hope he talks about the drip drip, and then Biden comes back and say, maybe if you would pay your water bill, we know you don't like to pay bills, but if you pay your water bills, you wouldn't have the drip drip, right? You won't have a drip drip if you pay your water bill, because I've never seen a drip drip, right? Never seen a drip drip. Anyhow, I'm sorry, Hayes. I'm not talking about rank and file Republicans, but the president, if you listen to him speak, he is likely a few steps below an idiot. I mean, an idiot has a definition, right? There is a definition for an idiot. Let me read it for you. Define idiot. An idiot, a stupid person, a person of low intelligence. So instead of saying all those words, we simply have to define who Donald Trump is. An idiot. That's not at all difficult. Bruce says he seems to think reality TV star is qualified to hold office, any office. I know. One of the steps below idiot is I know. Okay, let's go ahead and play our. Oh, I forgot. I didn't save that because it was a crash. So I better go ahead and load our first video of the day. And then we'll go ahead and get started with the first video of the day. And this one has to do with Jamaal Bowman. Jamaal Bowman, AIPAC is really has invested over $15 million to get this guy out of Congress. And they just may succeed tonight. I hope not, but they just may succeed tonight. Check this out. And let me save this first in case we crash again. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side. Jamaal Bowman is facing a opposition for his place. But let me first say this. No incumbent should ever feel like they own a seat. That's number one. No incumbent owns a seat. However, no incumbent generally has to worry about their seat if they're doing a good job, if they have good values and they're performing for their audience. And Jamaal Bowman did just that. Jamaal Bowman did just that and more. Jamaal Bowman went into Israel, into Gaza, and to see things for himself. In other words, he wasn't going to just go ahead and toe the line about what Netanyahu is doing in Gaza or anything like that. He went there and he went to the worst places. He didn't try to go to hotels or anything. He went to see what the people were going through. And for that, and coming back and telling the truth and taking the honorable position, he has to pay. So AIPAC decided that they were going to take him out, just like they're trying to take out Cori Bush, just like they tried to take out the woman in Philadelphia, Summer Lee. But you know what? Just like they failed in Philadelphia, let's hope they fail with Cori Bush in Missouri. Let's hope they failed with Jamaal Bowman. Jamaal Bowman only problem was the following. I want you to listen to Mr. Beinhart here, because this is the reality.
Peter Beinhart, editor-at-large for Jewish Currents and author of the Beinhart Notebook on Suspect. Before I get a question to you, Peter, let me play you Jamaal Bowman. He did an interview with our own Ali Vitale at NBC News. Take a look.
Is that the central issue in this race as you see it, though?
It is, because he was recruited by AIPAC to run against me because I called for a permanent ceasefire very early on. So it is central because of that, and it's central because AIPAC and their affiliates are pouring in unprecedented amounts of money. This is the most expensive Democratic primary in U.S. history.
The question there was, is Israel-Gaza the central issue in this race? Why would that be the central issue in a race in the Bronx? Your thoughts?
The reason that Jamaal Bowman is under such unprecedented attack is because he did something unusual, which is he actually went to see for himself what life is like for Palestinians. You know, most of these members of Congress, AIPAC takes them on a trip. They stay in some fancy hotels in Israel. They never see what life is like for Palestinians who have lived their entire lives without the most basic of rights. Jamaal Bowman went to Hebron, which is of all the cities in the West Bank, it is the most brutally oppressive, in a place that has been called an apartheid state, even by Israel's own human rights organizations, where Palestinians can't even walk on certain streets. And he had the courage to come back and talk about it. And for that reason, he's under unprecedented attack right now.
He's not alone. Cori Bush is another top person on the AIPAC list. There's a guy named Wesley Bell, a St. Louis prosecutor that was recruited to run against her. This guy used to be a campaign manager for a conservative Republican who was anti-abortion. Now he's running as a Democrat. You're seeing this across the board, whether it's Summer Lee. You can go through a lot of these, particularly members of color, who have been critical of Israel, and why AIPAC is spending a lot of money to replace them with people they prefer. And they're a Republican-leaning organization.
Right. In fact, there was a report that almost half of the AIPAC donors who are putting money into these Democratic primaries have given to Republicans. And what this is about is that partly these people will support Israel unconditionally no matter what. And they want to squelch any opposition to Israel's policies, and they want to intimidate other members of Congress. But that's not also it. The AIPAC donors are also extremely wealthy people. So it's not just that they want unconditional support for Israel. They also don't want their taxes to go up. They also don't want more regulations on businesses. And they know that people who have the guts to stand up for Palestinian freedom, which is a hard thing to do in Washington, are also going to be the people who are going to fight the hardest on climate, on healthcare, on immigration, on reproductive rights, on all those issues. And they would rather replace them with milquetoast corporate moderates who basically won't rock the boat and won't challenge corporate interests on anything.
We've seen in some races in North Carolina and Louisiana that you've had people run ostensibly as Democrats and then flip when it comes to whether or not Republicans can get a supermajority. That's happened now twice. Does it strike you that some of these more pro-Israel, moderate, whatever you want to call them, are they, committed Democrats? If it came down to whether or not Republicans or Democrats would control the House, would you be confident that a Mr. Latimer or Wesley Bell would stay Democrats?
Well, these tend to be pretty blue districts, so I'd be surprised if they became Republicans because I think that could imperil their chances of reelection. But what they do is they basically just make the Democratic Party in Congress less progressive, more sympathetic to corporations, and they make ordinary Americans look at the Democratic Party and say, I don't understand this. This is a party that claims to believe in the principle of equality under the law, and yet it is sending more and more weapons to Israel. There's a report today from Save the Children that there are 20,000 children in Gaza who are unaccounted for, either missing or dead in mass graves or under the rubble. And people like George Latimer are being sent there to send more weapons. And this alienates ordinary Democrats, not just Muslims, but young people, progressive. They say, this is not a Democratic Party that represents me. And that's part of the reason that you have an enthusiasm gap with Joe Biden.
It's not only that AIPAC pumped a whole lot of money into Bowman and could possibly beat him with that money that coerced the people in the district, that lied to the people in the district, that gave them information with the wrong narrative, and that it's a Democrat doing that against a Democrat, right? We're supposed to feel like unity prevails. But here's the thing. It is important for us to understand that it's not only about AIPAC attacking Bowman or some other right-wing organization attacking Bowman in support of Latimer and Latimer making it clearly accepting all this, but it is those not only in the progressive media and elsewhere that haven't lended the unmitigated support for Bowman, if only because we have an AIPAC trying to take him out. We have a plutocracy, an agent of the plutocracy, an agent of the oligarchy, an agent of the rich trying to take him out. That alone should have been enough for every progressive organization out there to be laying the law of the land and making sure that Latimer is seen for what Latimer, if he wins, would have done. And I tell you what, that we didn't have the cavalry coming out as they should doesn't speak well for the progressive media. It may speak well for those who are acquiescing to the establishment, the plutocracy, the oligarchy, but it does very poorly represents that which it should. Absolutely so, folks. Absolutely so. Anyway, we got Paul Fleming says, why do Trump and his minions cheer high inflation and unemployment? The same reason businessmen during the Great Depression did. They know that high unemployment makes it an owner economy. When jobs are scarce and prices are high, workers serve at the discretion of owners and dare not complain for fear of losing their jobs and not being able to get another. It's all about power. It's all about power. That's also why Trump despises unions, and guys like Henry Ford fought tooth and nail to keep them from taking hold. Michael Rudden says Gaza is a rubble pile. Palestinians have been bombed so much the rubble bounced. The videos of the destruction on site needs to be played by the mainstream media. It would shift minds. I'm not sure. They have made us so immune to seeing violence against some people that I'm not sure. Radin, I would hope so, but I really am not sure. Radin says, Paul, Republicans cheer inflation and unemployment so they can point at the problem, make promises they never plan on keeping, and if they get elected, they'll actively make the problem worse, starting with screwing over any minorities they dislike. Interestingly, what Biden is doing is what Obama had to do, is what Clinton had to do. And that is clean up the mess of their predecessors. It's a constancy. You bring Republicans in, they destroy the economy, and the Democrats have to first clean it up before they can move forward. That's not a question. That's a statement of fact. All you have to do is look at the numbers. The numbers speak for themselves. Let's see. Lee Grant says it's something that is supported by AIPAC. Is it necessary evil? Well, by definition, if AIPAC supports it, it's probably against most other people. So I would say not an absolute yes, but a mostly yes. Rudnin says, I don't think MSNBC is going to have this guy on again. Actually, he's always on, and he's Jewish, so they have an excuse. This guy's Jewish. Bernstein is Jewish. Bernard is Jewish, and he runs a Jewish organization, but just one that is honest, right? Paul Fleming says, if this country was truly pro-life, we would have Medicare for all, a Green New Deal, gun reform, universal child care, and a living wage. The right-wing agenda isn't about life, it's about control. Absolutely. But again, when you cater or when you tie something, you see, these guys grabbed on to life, and then they made life anything that they stand for, including death. So they believe strongly in the death penalty. That is for life. They believe strongly in a woman not having control of her body. So if she's dying because of having gotten impregnated, so be it. That's just how it is. It is meaning we want control over you and your body, but we don't care about you, your life, your humanity. It's always been like that. All right. Bridge MCP says, milk toast. One who has a meek, timid, unassertive nature. A timid, unassertive man or boy fearful of confronting and easily manipulated and dominated. And that is not who Bowman was or is at all. All right, let's see. Caller into Clay and Buck show, who was a lifetime Democrat from Virginia, voted for Clinton, then Biden nudged changing to orange man. Well, I can't help that he has a psychological problem. He's a union worker too. He said he's doing it based on the economy and the lies of the left. Wow, wonder how many more like that there is. Well, I don't know, because the poll has been moving in Biden's direction, so apparently more people are getting more intelligent. More people are saying, wait a minute, under Trump, the economy fell. Under Trump, the budget exploded. Under Trump, he never gave us infrastructure, even though Infrastructure Week was weekly. He never gave us, oh, wait a minute, even what he said he did for the UNCF wasn't true. Oh my God, what did he actually do? Oh, I know. He gave a big tax cut to the corporations. And by the way, the inflation that we have today, who caused it again? Trump. His mismanagement of what again? COVID. Wow. Why would we want to go back to that? So that person from Virginia that you're talking about is just ill-informed. And maybe if we can get to them and recalibrate their thinking process, that is something we probably need to do. Recalibrate their thinking process. That's what we got to do. All right, folks, let's continue. I've got another video that I need to play, and then I'll continue reading. But it seems like somebody wants the screen first. So let's go ahead and put that onto the screen. If you have never had a Supreme Court decide if you have the same rights as others, you have privilege. Let's go ahead and put that on before I go to my next video. Let's go ahead and put that on. Who's that from? That sounds like a Bridge MCP quote. There we go. There is a quote, folks. If you have never had a Supreme Court decide if you have the same rights as others, you have privilege. I love that definition of privilege. All right, folks, let's go ahead and move on. We're going to move on to where again? To the next video. This was my morning rant yesterday at KPFT 90.1 FM Houston. So those of you who want the morning show, remember it's at 6 a.m. Central, and you can get me live. You can call in live. And by the way, you can call in live here as well. But that's my morning show, and then we do this one at 3 Central. But here we go. Guys, we got a lot of folks listening on Twitter. Let's go ahead and move on right this minute with the next video of the day. Here we go.
This morning I was thinking about the oligarchs, a little piece you did this weekend. You know, we must simply find a way to stop the oligarchs from forcing their will and control over the people. They will throw gobs and gobs of money at Trump because he will cut their taxes even more. He will deregulate their markets even more, meaning the poor and the middle classes will finance a future of war and conquest for the oligarchs.
Look, it could not have been said any better. That wasn't going to be my topic to start with or today, but Jack, you have a way of tickling me. So I want to say something about the oligarchs. A lot of people think that it is a foregone conclusion that, there's a lot of money in politics because the Supreme Court updated Citizens United, or in effect, allowed Citizens United to go through. In other words, money is speech, corporations or people. In other words, not the people of the corporation, but a corporation is in fact an independent entity that has many of the rights of individual human beings. And in fact, if you study some of these rights, it has rights that supersedes the average American human being. That's what our Supreme Court has done for us. That is what many in power have done. We have a tendency to believe that these are things that are divine. These are things that's just how it is, and that's how it works. I've been talking about the good ones. When I say the good ones, I mean the people who want what's best for you. Will be a landslide in November. And one of the reasons I say that is not out of wishful thinking. It's not out of naivete. It is out of expectations that the people in America will perform. When I came to this country back in 1989, America was on the progressive ascent. I never, ever forgot. And I meant 1979, not 89, 1979. I never forgot that, all the changes that were continuously being made exponentially in nature, and realizing what was being done. By the way, in 79, I didn't understand as a very young kid then, I didn't understand exactly the dynamics that was occurring in America to dumbify America then. America was a bastion on that hill coming from Panama. I remember, and I spoke about this in my book, As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. My grandfather had moved to New York earlier on, and we were in Panama, and I remember my grandfather coming to Panama one time and coming home and come to the house, and I picked up his shoes, and I looked at his shoes, the sole of his shoes, and I said, imagine these shoes were walking in New York. That is a reverence that we had of the United States. Not that we thought the United States was the perfect country. Not that we thought the United States didn't have all these bad things that occurred. Not that we didn't know the United States at one time had slavery for people who looked like many of us in right there sitting in Panama. We understood that. But we also understood that there was a Kennedy. We also understood there was an Eisenhower. We also understood there was a Carter. We also understood that there were people saying, let's make this country better. Let's make this country what its document assumed or told other people that it was going to be. Let's make this country the propaganda that we hear about America in Panama, Latin America, Southeast Asia, Africa, and everywhere else. Let's make it a reality. And these were leaders making it a reality. These progressives out there that were telling Americans, no, you can make it. You are intelligent. Telling America, no, you have worth. You have worth, and you should get the worth out of your works. All those folks were being taught that. Then came the Reagan revolution under the auspices, the continued auspices of the growth of the Powell memo. That memo that said, oh my God, Americans are getting too smart. Oh my God, Americans are asking for too much. Oh my God, we have to keep this aristocracy that's been covered, that's been in a facade for a long time. This aristocracy known as the corporation, known as the capital markets, known as all that needs to dominate. And then the changes started to come. They enhanced this thing called supply side economics. They enhanced the manipulations of people's minds. They enhanced many of us believing that supporting things that materially affect us will actually or was actually the right thing to do. And then they taught us to maintain the hate that was being mitigated from the past. As we were coming up with the progressive values back in the 60s, growing into the 70s, where we started to look at each other with less disdain, when we continued to look at each other's really as we should, as one's brothers, one's sister, one's friend, all of us in a multicultural society that is loving and admitting and being for everybody. We suddenly saw that as a threat. We suddenly saw that as a threat to an economic system that doesn't have a place for all of us, but instead the greed of a few. When Gordon Gekko in the mythical Wall Street movie said, greed is good. Greed is good. What they forgot to say is greed is good for the particular economic system that we were in, and that most people are not greedy. Had most people been greedy, those who control our economy today, who most of them don't have the work or worth to have the money, but instead have manipulated an economic system to get unwarranted gains. I wish we could point and make people understand that the rich that they think are worthy of are so much not. I wish they realized that when they look in the mirror, they were looking at the real magnets of this economy. I wish that when they looked in the mirror, they actually saw somebody of worth who did the real work in America. I wish everyone that's out there on the road right now heading to work, everyone that you see standing at the bus stop, as you have people in our oligarchy talk about people not working hard enough, talking about the slouches on the streets. I wish people realize that there are very few slouches on the streets, and that most of the slouches in our economy are the ones you find in the boardroom, the ones that take advantage of us all. I wish we could have enough power over these airs, over the air, over the internet and all, to let people realize those who are really taking advantage of them, to not live in the fantasy that somehow that someone could actually be a billionaire, that somebody is worth $1 billion, that somebody created something worth $1 billion, when everybody ever created in this country, in this world, is the composite knowledge, the collective knowledge of us all, and just us having an economic system who is able for a few to take advantage of the collective intellect, collective resources, collective everything of us all. I wish, and one of my calls to duty is to let people realize that no, it is us. It is not the few. It is us who make things happen. It is us, we the people, who really make everything. Anytime you hear somebody trying to down your government, remember, your government is you, we the people. When they say government doesn't do anything right, remember that's a slight against you. You have the ability to make government. You have the ability to change government. You just have to do so collectively. We have to remember we are our brother's keeper. We have to remember we are our sister's keeper. We have to remember we are all in this together. All right. That's my rant of the morning that Jack brought on. Yep, that's a rant of the morning that Jack brought on. Hey, guys, for those of you who are watching on Facebook and YouTube, I would like, I want to see how the interface works on Twitter, because right now we are on Twitter and as well. And I think, let me see, we have about 60 people or so on Twitter. What I want to see is how messages come across in my combined message center here. So if somebody on Twitter, some of you can go over to Twitter, and it's twitter.com/Egberto Willies, twitter.com/Egberto Willies, and see if your messages show up in this thing here. I'm going to try to send messages as well to Twitter and see if it makes it over. But right now it says read only, so I'm not sure. Anyhow, folks, let's continue reading the messages from you. Michael Rudden says, Lee, the concept of foreign money pushing their agenda in our elections is an unnecessary evil. Can you imagine any other country other than Israel getting away with that? Think about that. I want you to think about that. Here is a foreign country influencing our election. That is actually illegal, but we kind of just let it slide. All right, Michael Rodden says those milk toast voting to join unions at the highest rate. No. This is Fleming. Workers are voting to join unions at the highest rate in 15 years. The number of workplace strikes hit a 23-year high. Workers are done letting billionaires and corporations hoard all the wealth and power. They're fighting back, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. Yes, and tomorrow I'm going to have a 20-minute rant that I did this morning on KPFT about Les Leopold's article exactly on that, Brother Fleming. I don't know if you were there this morning or not. I kind of took my eye off the ball this morning, but we had that one. All right, let's see what else we got here. Is that another one for the screen bridge, or is that the same one? Oh, that's the same one, the privilege one. Yeah, I got that one on the screen already. Let's see what else we got here. How utterly stupid do you have to think you could abort a pregnancy that's literally over? What is wrong with these people? Again, nobody talked about thinking. Mike Cisak says it was Biden and his record spending, not Trump. Again, I think you need to study a little bit of Economics 101. Economics 101 would give you an exact explanation as to what happened with what caused the inflation. And inflation wasn't caused by Biden. It wasn't even though the tariffs that Trump put on caused some inflation in the products that the tariffs apply to. The real culprit for inflation right now is is corporate greed. That's not a question. That's a statement of fact. They are the ones who raise prices. They're the ones who raise prices higher, much higher than whatever price increase that they had, which was also manufactured. Welcome aboard, Billy Allison, Irwin. Great to see you here. I don't think I saluted you before, or Paul Fleming for that matter. All right, let's see what else we got here. Michael says, Mike C., what Biden want to spend the extra on? Build back better. What did Trump spend his extra on? Tax cut for the filthy rich and their corporations. What is better? Think. I love that you said that. Think. You give there's something called marginal propensity to consume. Marginal propensity to consume says the following. If I give $10 to a rich person, that person's marginal propensity to consume is zero. Again, how much extra would they spend because they got that $10? Zero. Because that $10 means nothing to them. They may just throw it away. But you give that $10 to somebody who has to spend it, who needs baby milk, who needs these other items. That person immediately spend it. That $10 to a poor person has a 100% marginal propensity to consume. They consume it all. Again, That is a statement, once again, of behavioral fact. Okay? Behavioral fact. All right, let's see. E2247 says, Amy Goodman asked Jamie Raskin, you are a constitutional lawyer. What do you think should happen? In fact, that Senate Judiciary Committee has subpoena power. What should they be doing? Raskin rambled for 3 minutes and never answered the question. What do you think should happen in Senate Judiciary? What should they be doing? We know what they should be doing. They should start impeachment process on Clarence Thomas and Alito, both of them for taking bribes. It's that simple. Then they can do a whole lot of subpoenas, etc. All right. Paul Fleming says Donald Trump doesn't actually need the support of business leaders. He just needs to create the false impression that he has it. Rachel exposes the game with Stephanie Rule last night. I saw that. It was a long segment, and as I was watching it, I couldn't find a way to cut it. So it's just something that we need to talk about. But the way she, one of the reasons I don't carry a whole lot of, I love Rachel Maddow, but Rachel Maddow is so long-winded in the way she presents her case. It doesn't lend itself to cut as easily as Ali Velshi and others. But they're both great. They're both great. All right, let's see what else we have here. Scrolling down. And folks, don't forget, you can give us a call, 281-823-7747. Again, that is 281-823-7747. Bridge MCP says Mike C is extreme and admitted MAGA. Yep, he's going to be MAGA until MAGA bite his butt. And as a farmer, MAGA is going to bite his butt, but you know what? He may forgive them, and I don't know. Anyway, that's his thing. I love my MAGA folks as well, guys. I love everybody, and I mean that genuinely. All right. Paul says the typical salary needed to become a home owner in the United States is now $106,000, an 80% increase from $59,000 needed in 2020, according to Zillow. And that's because of the inflated prices. And why did these prices get inflated? Because corporations are now buying up buildings, buying up homes, private homes, holding them off the market so that the prices would appreciate. We should make that illegal. That should be illegal. They then turn it into B&Bs and all these other type of ways to make money, which prevents you from acquiring what you can. All right, let's see what else we got. Mike Cisasa, Egberto, why are you pushing an ideology that has failed with millions of people death over a century? No, my ideology has killed nobody. My ideology hasn't killed one person. Capitalism has killed millions over. But remember, when I talk about capitalism, there's something important that I always state. Capitalism is an abstracting type of phenomena. It's abstract, and what it means is Americans don't see what it takes for us to have the economic system that we have. It takes some understanding. It takes a different level of indirection of your thinking process to understand it. As an example, capitalism can only work in America if we ensure other countries aren't as capitalist as we are, because there's not enough within our earth in a capitalist framing model to have that. It cannot. It's impossible for the level of wealth that we allow some in this country for that to be nationalized or internationalized. It's not conceivable in the current economic model. However, there's a lot of resources on this planet, and if it were distributed equitably, all of us could have a home, all of us could eat well, all of us could do a lot. But the problem is, capitalism is an abstracting system that hurts the many to allow the few to accumulate a lot. And you don't have to ask me to prove it. You just have to open your eyes. The fact that there's a Bill Gates, a Elon Musk, a Warren Buffett, etc., proves it. These guys are not they have not produced billions of dollars. They have used capitalism, the structures of capitalism, to make the work that you do, all of you that are listening to me right now, the work that you do has been converted into billions for them. But they didn't do it. They couldn't do it without you. So if they could not make these billions without you, why aren't you partaking of that as well? Again, it's a system designed to transfer your intellect, your worth, your work to them. It's that simple. Mike Cisak said, Egberto, I took college economics and know the corporate greed does not create inflation. Really? All right. You took economics. Did you also take math? All right. Let's prove this point real quickly. There was never an oil shortage. There was never an oil shortage. Notice that during the pandemic and after the pandemic, no gas station had a shortage of gasoline. None in America. None of them had a shortage of gasoline, but the prices continued to rise. Now, they couldn't sustain that because of the oil glut that we had. Nobody talked about it. Everybody was talking about the war in Russia. I mean, the war in Ukraine. They wanted you. They think you're dumb. They wanted you to believe that somehow the Ukraine war was going to affect the flow of oil. But the Ukraine war was nowhere close to where Russia is producing its mass of oil. It was nowhere close to all the oil sources. All right? Never. We never had an oil shortage. And you know how we know that what I'm saying is a statement of fact? The Texas oil men convinced Saudi Arabia to cut not 500,000 barrels of oil a day, but 2 million barrels of oil a day because we had an oil glut. All when the prices of oil was going up, we had an oil glut. But you know what they forgot to tell you? They forgot to tell you that if we were truly believe in supply and demand, the price of gasoline should have tanked, but it didn't. But you know what didn't tank? That they were paying less for oil. They were charging us more for oil. And if you look at their balance sheet and their income statement, you were able to see the direct correlation between the rise in price that they charge for gasoline minus the drop in price that they paid for oil. The drop in price they paid for oil, and then what happened to their profits. It's a direct correlation. You go ahead and you miss it at your peril. You miss it at your peril. And that's why they take advantage of you. And guys like my brother Mike Cisak and those people who continue to suck on the tits of capitalistic corporations, you are a clear and present danger to the progress of the rest of the country. Because it's you who give these people the ability to continue to screw who? You. It's not a question. It's a statement of fact. I'm sorry. That's how it is. That is how it is. Egberto, since the right keeps speaking of that this is your opinion, can you put this up on the screen? Of course I can, Breach. You want here. Anything people want here, they get. All right, let's go ahead and put that on the screen. Breach requested it. If you have never had a Supreme Court decide, oh, I thought I did that already. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. Here is the right one. Oh, no, that's the wrong one again. Let me go ahead and make sure I get that right, Breach. Where is it? I think this is it right here. All right, let's see if this is it. Opinions don't affect facts, but facts should affect opinions and do if you're rational. Ricky Gervais. Yep. Ricky Gervais, he's right about that. But why is it so difficult for so many to see that? I don't know, Bridge. But you know what, Bridge? Let me tell you what's good news. What's the good news here, Bridge, is this. The emails that I get daily tells me that our right-wing brothers and sisters in the chat have been successful in us changing minds. I repeat, our right-wingers in our chat, because they bring up the unintellectual stuff they get from the right wing, and because we expand on it and we go through methodically more than the 1 or 2 minutes they can get on MSNBC or CNN, people have sent emails and said thank you, including from my newsletter, and said thank you. And saying that, now I have an ask. Now we're at the end of the program. I'd like to ask those of you who are listening. I want to ask those of you who are listening to please support the program. And how can you support the program? You can support the program by, today I want to concentrate just on asking you to become a paid subscriber of our newsletter, and it's worth it. I know those of you who watch us twice a day, 5 days a week. Actually, we're on 7 days a week now. Reruns on Mondays reruns on Saturdays and Sundays. Those of you that aren't, you know the value that we provide. We go. You can look at all the different avenues where we provide you with content at politicsdoneright.com/info. So if you go to politicsdoneright.com/info, you see that we make sure to keep the progressive data out there for everybody to see. So if you go to politicsdoneright.com/info, you will see that we do the work. What I'm asking for is all of you that see the necessity for this work that we're doing here, to make sure to populate the internet in every platform with the progressive data, both with our essays, with our books, with our articles, with our Substack, with our newsletter, everything. It's 16 hours worth of work every day, but to continue doing this consistently and effectively, we need your support. And you can support us by subscribing to our newsletter. And how do you do that? If you go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter and become a paid subscriber, a coffee a month, a paid subscriber to our newsletter. And you know what that does? That makes sure that it subsidizes all the other platforms that we're working on. But more importantly, the other thing that it does is it helps us promote and keep the message going. So again, I ask you so kindly, support us at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. It's a coffee a month. And I know if you saw me in town, you say, you know what, Egberto, I need to give you your coffee a month, guy. Alternatively, you can go ahead and get one of our books, politicsdoneright.com/books, politicsdoneright.com/books. As I see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. How to Make America Utopia, take away the economy from those who rigged it. And it's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbors. All right, folks, it's getting to be about that time where I need to get out of here. I want to first of all thank you so kindly for being here with us. I want to thank you so kindly for I didn't put it in there. That's right. Let me go ahead and put it here. There is a newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I just placed it on Facebook and on the other platforms. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Anyway, got to get out of here. I want to thank you all for being a part of the show. Don't forget you can call in whenever you want. 281-823-7747 is the number. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.